Welcome to this video on how to knit a basic body for your painted cricket animal. All of my animal bodies use the same underlying pattern, but there are a few different coloring options you can choose from. Use this pattern if you want your animal's body to be all one color, or if you plan to add markings like spots and stripes later. This is also a great pattern to start with if you're somewhat new to knitting. If you want your animal to have a different colored stomach or chest patch like you see on these animals, then you'll want the videos that walk you through those patterns. You can find links to those videos in the description area. Because you're going to stuff the animal, it's important that you have tight stitches that won't let the stuffing show through very easily. The best way I've found to do this is to use knitting needles that are at least 2 sizes smaller than what's recommended for the yarn that you're using. If you naturally knit tightly, then 2 sizes smaller may be good enough. My stitches are typically more on the loose side, so I usually end up using needles that are 3, 4, or sometimes even up to 6 sizes smaller than what the yarn recommends. The weight and type of yarn you're using can make a big difference. If you're not sure, knit a few sample rows of stockinette and then try pulling your sample to see how easy it is to see through the stitches when it's stretched just a little bit. The techniques and stitches you'll need to knit the body are stockinette, basic increases and decreases, and casting on and binding off. Since this is a pattern video, I'm assuming that you already know how to do the basic stitches like knit, purl, increase, and purl 2 together. So I'll tell you where to do these stitches, but I won't take the time to explain exactly how to do them. Before we get to the pattern, just a few things. I knit in combination style, so it may look a little strange. I use it because it's faster and easier, especially for purling. You don't have to knit in combination style, but if you'd like to learn how to do combination knitting, look in the description area of this video for a link to a video that explains how. Please like this video and share it with your knitter friends. Then subscribe to my channel so it can grow and more people can find my videos. After you click subscribe, if you click that little bell, you'll get notifications whenever I release new videos. Click show more in the description area to find lots of links to additional videos, such as additional animal and clothing patterns, special techniques and stitches that I use in my patterns, and my favorite place to get yarn. When you finish your project, please share photos. I've created a Painted Cricket Facebook page just for that. You can find a link for that also in the description area. And one last thing, if you prefer to work from a written pattern, you can also find links to the shops where I sell them in the description area. Okay, let's get started with the simple body. To start, cast on 28 stitches. We're starting at the bottom of the body and working up to the neck. Leave enough of a yarn tail that you'll have something to sew the back seam with or the legs once you're done. On row 1, just purl across without any increases or decreases. And remember that I use combination style knitting, so if my purling and knitting looks strange to you, that's probably why. There are no increases or decreases on rows 2 and 3, so continue stockinette on those rows. Knit across on row 2. And purl across on row 3. Row 4 is an increase row. Knit the first 3 stitches, then increase 1. Then you'll continue this pattern of knitting 3 and increasing 1 until only 1 stitch remains. My favorite way of increasing is often called make 1. It's one of the most invisible increases, and you make it by working into the stitch on the previous row, just below the stitch on the right needle. So pull one leg of the V on the prior row up onto the left needle, and then just knit into that stitch. Once you get to the end of the row, knit the last stitch, and then when you're done, you should have a total of 37 stitches. On row 5, just purl across without any increases or decreases. Row 6 is another increase row. Knit 4, increase 1, and do that pattern across, knitting 4 and increasing 1 until you get to the last 5 stitches. On the last 5 stitches, don't do any increases, just knit the last 5 stitches. And then that should give you 45 stitches at the end of this row. Continue in stockinette without any increases or decreases until you get to row 11. On row 11, we begin decreasing. Purl 5 and then purl 2 together. Repeat this pattern across until you have only 3 more stitches. And then just purl those last 3 stitches, and that should give you 39 stitches. All the even rows from row 12 until the end now are simple stockinette without any increases or decreases. You may have noticed that, as a general rule of thumb, I like to increase on knit rows and decrease on purl rows. On row 13, decrease again. The pattern here is purl 3 and then purl 2 together, and do that across until you get 4 stitches left. Purl those last 4 stitches, and then you should have 32 stitches at the end of this row. Rows 14 through 22 are simple stockinette again. So just knit on the right side rows and purl on the wrong side rows without any increases or decreases. On row 23, you decrease again. The pattern here is purl 3 and then purl 2 together, and do that across until you only have 2 stitches left. Purl those last 2 stitches, and you should have 26 stitches at the end of this row. Do simple stockinette on rows 24 through 30. On row 31, decrease again. So purl 2 and then purl 2 together across until 2 stitches remain. Purl those last 2 stitches. And you should have 20 stitches at the end of this row. Do stockinette again on rows 32, 33, and 34. Decrease again on row 35. The pattern here is purl 2 and then purl 2 together. Do this across the row until you have 4 stitches left, and then just purl those last 4 stitches. And at the end of this row, you should have 16 stitches. Just knit across on row 36. And then on row 37, you're going to bind off in purl. Cut the yarn at the end of row 37, leaving a long enough tail to sew with when it's time to assemble your animal. And that's it. You're done knitting this simple body piece. That's it for this video. If you haven't already knitted the legs, you can find a link to a video showing how to knit all the leg variations in the description area. You can find a variety of animals and clothing pattern videos on my YouTube channel, so look in the description area for a link to my channel, and then you can browse through the videos I've uploaded and get ideas. There's also a video that shows my favorite tips and tricks for assembling all these pieces together once you've finished knitting the head and tail, so look for that in the description area as well. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel so you can get notified when I release new animal and clothing patterns, and share a photo of your completed project on my Facebook page. See you next time!